Some of the sites of the thunderstorms this weekend already seen flooding through parts of the high plains and, of course, the southeast. We've had some very soaking rain recently. I'm Melissa Constanzer.
And I'm Anna Azallion. Of course, we kind of ended the work week with flash flooding in the northeast, but now we have kind of two different things to talk about as we head towards the first full week of August.
But before we get to that, we do want to bring you to some breaking news. Overnight, if you were around the Big Apple, you might have been feeling a little bit of shaking. So we actually did have a 3.0 magnitude earthquake. This happened about 11 miles northwest of Lower Manhattan here in North Jersey. Didn't hear any reports of any damage, so that's some good news, but it might have caught you off guard. It was at 10:18 p.m.
Oh, and that time, yeah, you might have thought, what is happening? It's very short, especially when it's that magnitude.
Yeah, that it is. Well, meanwhile, in New York, we are still dealing with the dry, pleasant conditions in the skies. Very nice weather out there for us. Off towards the south, though, the boundary is still hung up with those thunderstorms from states like Georgia through South Carolina. Even along the Gulf Coast, we have more moisture.
Then as we look towards the center of the country, we have some thunderstorms starting to kind of die out, but still a lot of lightning down into Oklahoma. And this is one of the areas we're watching for severe weather today.
The western U.S. looking dry and quiet. This is good and bad news. Millions of students are heading back to school in the coming weeks, which means it's important to remember that hot weather quickly can sideline young athletes. Well, as we look across the southern U.S., we do have some of that heat starting to build back up. Austin going back towards 100 degrees. So we were in the 90s the past few days. Is going to be this heat starting to build across the southwestern U.S. and it's going to start to push its way east, impacting some other locations across the south central U.S., which means those numbers are going to go up and we're going to shove those thunderstorms a little farther east. Dallas, another day with thunderstorms for you starting off, and then we'll see that dive its way off towards the southeast, dying down the afternoon. The sunshine comes out. Things will recharge yet again as you look towards some of the high plains. So we do still have a lot of activity in the days to come and a severe weather risk. Most of that is going to be towards the high plains, but eventually, at least on the southern part of this, is it's going to shift a little farther east as the heat continues to rise and more of us end up in the triple digits off towards the southern U.S. Well, it is the heading throughout the upcoming days. We aren't going to be dealing with too much heat across the northeastern U.S. That's the good news. But pressure does settle in for us, or keeps settling in, I should say, as we go through Monday. So we're not really seeing too many quick changes here with this air mass. It is, though, slowly going to start to moisten up. So we're going to see a little bit more humidity in the upcoming days. It also gets warmer as we go through things, but overall the story is rain-free. Oh, tonight, still fairly chilly out there in a few locations. You can see the number. Well, some of the stormy weather that you've seen over the weekend already. Thanks for joining us here on AccuWeather Weekend. Whether you're in the southeastern U.S., maybe you're in the high plains, we've been contending with quite a bit of wet weather out there in a few locations. And it does mean thunderstorms, lightning, all sending you inside. Then there can be the gusty winds, the hail, the flooding. There's a couple different factors. We do want to start off with, though, some new news over the past couple of hours. One of them being this, a 3.0 magnitude earthquake just outside of New York City. Happened at 10:18 last night. This was about 11 miles northwest of Lower Manhattan, as you can tell. And so that probably did startle a few folks, but that was the shaking that you may have felt around the Newark area or parts of New Jersey as it was there in North Jersey. So that's insight of what went on last night. Let's talk about what's going on this morning. Showers, thunderstorms still persisting here across the southeastern U.S. For northeastern Alabama. It's meant flooding, unfortunately. We're continuing to follow that. And look at all the thunderstorms that formed last night through the plains. They kind of kicked off from the mountains, have moved their way east to this point in the morning. And guess what? The southern side, this cluster is going to keep trying to dive its way towards the Red River and some of the lower parts of the Red River there on the Texas-Oklahoma border. So we still have more action to come with that. We'll start in the southeastern U.S. where the rain has been problematic here. You can tell Atlanta, we picked up 3/4 of an inch in the past 24 hours, but these yellows here and oranges, those are 4+ inches. So we're talking at least 2 to 5 inches of rainfall coming down there in northern Alabama. So this has been a bit of a problem for flooding, and we're still watching some of those flooding concerns this morning. What you can tell is there are some thunderstorms here towards the central Gulf Coast, some just off the coast of the Carolinas, but really a lot of the rain right now, it keeps a lot of us wet, including the city of Charleston. Heading in through Monday and Tuesday, the storms, they don't go anywhere. And some developments which we'll talk about, but ultimately what we can tell is there's still going to be showers and thunderstorms tomorrow. Beach at Charlotte, Roanoke, for example, a lot of these locations still enjoying that less humid air mass, just kind of etching its way on in from the backside. So you can see that dry air coming in from the northeast and just kind of biting into parts. Do have at least a little bit of potential here for a tropical system to develop. Whether it does, whether it doesn't, the rainfall is still the same. This would move out to sea, so we're not too concerned with significant impacts, but rough seas do continue for that area just due to all the stormy nature that we have across the southeast, especially Charleston on south towards Brunswick. That's where we'll have some of the heaviest rain along the Georgia coast. Well, if you're doing a little bit of traveling today, our slowdowns are in the southeast. That's where we have the heaviest rain. Keep in mind, though, that for some of the plain states late in the day, we will see on the western side of things more thunderstorms regenerate. Do you have some thunderstorms?
Why? We have a lot of these factors that increase risk. It has been very, very dry, so dry vegetation is the perfect fuel for a fire. Warm, bright days, that is certainly what we have in the southwest, especially with the heat dome setting up that area of high pressure. We have low humidity along with that, and some areas are seeing stronger winds as we head into the early parts of the work week. So all of these things together, that is just a perfect storm for wildfire conditions. So current fires that are burning, we could see these really grow, and we could see containment dropping. That's something we've actually already seen in the last week. So we could see more of that, and the smoke, that is an issue as well, spreading into places like LA. So if you are sensitive, especially with any breathing issues, you want to stay inside as much as possible, have the air conditioner running as well. Well, we're continuing to track the threat for flash flooding in the southeast, especially into these areas highlighted in the darkest green shade. But over the weekend, we already saw a lot of flash flooding, and even at least one death reported, this coming via a storm report from the National Weather Service. So definitely make sure you are staying careful, taking precautions, staying safe in the southeast. Have multiple ways to receive alerts about flash flood warnings. And a reminder, turn around, don't drown. It is a saying for a reason. You don't want to walk or drive through any flooded roadways, even if it seems like not that much water. Because a lot of these areas receiving several inches of rainfall. Now, this map does include any rainfall we had Friday and over the weekend, and then goes through Tuesday. But especially these areas in the darkest green shade, that's where we're talking about 4 to 8 inches of rain overall, plus your AccuWeather local storm max of 12 inches of rain. So some of these areas, even just from Saturday morning to Sunday morning, had more than 5 inches of rainfall. That's somewhere that maybe we get closer to that AccuWeather local storm max. Either way, several inches of rainfall, that is just a recipe for flash flooding. Now, this is coming from the same frontal boundary that moved through the northeast and brought flash flooding there late last week. It stalled out over the southeast. That's why we're seeing round after round after round days of heavy rainfall. The core of the storm system, the area of low pressure, is here in the Atlantic. It's the area that we are tagging with a medium chance of tropical development. Here's the good news, though. This is moving north and east away from the U.S. So the impacts we're seeing now, those are the only impacts we're going to see from that system. We are also tracking another system, a low chance of tropical development here later into the week, but it's still hurricane season.